here if you're doing that or while you're doing that, and get away some of the bookkeeping. Our disclaimer, first of all, folks, we are not a registered investment advisor, so please don't look to us for investment advice. We are a technology company. We create the most incredible idea generation technology that looks to the stock market, finds opportunities in real time, and delivers it to your desktop. It's a complete malleable piece of clay that we have here, so it's completely configurable, but we give you a lot of great ways to get going here. All right, so Dan's here asking me to set up a short strategy in Brokerage Plus that includes a stop using a filter. Okay, so I'll get to that, Dan. I'll bring in Brokerage Plus and I'll do that. That's a little bit more advanced, so let me see if there's something more basic, and I'll do a small overview before we get into that, so it's not throwing some people over the edge, but love to do that. George is asking about setting too tight of stops. Okay, we can look at that, and we've got some good technology that addresses stop losses. So Johnny's a beginning trader. He's using a Mac. We have a couple different versions of our product, Johnny. We have an application, which is, in my opinion, the most robust of the two, but we also have a web-based version, which can do about 90% of what the application can do. The web-based version does operate in a Mac environment, so that is available to you. So I can show you, Mike, the earnings channel and some earnings plays. Luis, I'll give you an overall demo. I don't know, Marlon. I don't know if I'm going to get into what particular indicators are used for swing, because that's a very personal thing. But what I will do is I'll show you our AI automation, how you can use that in your trading. So we'll do that. And I'll go through some of the columns for the max profit in the Holly, and I'll dive into Holly as well. All right, so let's get going here. And you guys are firing away. I love that. Okay, and Luis, we do with our automated tool Brokerage Plus. Currently it's automated right now with Interactive Brokers. So we do have plans of broadening that spectrum, but Interactive Brokers is a fantastic broker from an economic perspective when you're talking about doing a lot of automated trading. You know, just their pricing point's really nice. Jack, it cannot be used for more than just equities. I do see futures on the horizon, but right now this is just equity based. All right, so you know, I'm going to talk about the product. We're going to kind of ditch the PowerPoint here, and we'll get right in. I'll do the high level. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, and then dive into some of those great questions that you had. 16 years ago, we started off with a single concept, guys, a single concept to try to find what's happening in the stock market. You know, there's over 10,000, 20,000 symbols that trade every day, and how do you really know what to look for and what's moving? There are a lot of great percentage gainers and losers, for that matter, that are happening every day in the marketplace, and our tool is a tool that mines those opportunities for you. Like I said early on, it's a piece of clay. You can do anything you want with it. You can configure your own windows, your own top lists, your own strategies. We have some visual displays to go along with that, like charts. We have our compare count, single stock window for diving in, but at its core, it's really meant for mining the stock market and finding things that are interesting. We keep statistical baselines of everything, every stock on every single time frame, and we keep those baselines very, very specific to all the time during the day. So when something abnormal happens, we're at liberty to deliver that information right to your desktop, whether it's through the application or through the web-based version. There are a variety of windows that we've created through those 16 years of operation. We started off, like I said, with the single alert window. This is kind of a derivative of it. This is a multi-strategy window, but inside of a multi-strategy window, there are a variety of different strategies. And so if I wanted to just pop one of those out, this is really the core of what we started with, an alert window, something that's looking for an event, and then you build filters around that. So in this particular case, this is looking for something that's running up and making a strong move up. And those strong moves up are it looks to the relative nature of that move up. So if it's always moving up 50 cents every moment, it's not finding that interesting, and it's not going to deliver that to you, but it's delivering this in real time, and you can see when you click on a symbol, it'll go ahead and update the other windows that are linked to it. It started off, like I said, with a window. It's now a full platform with all of these other tools, and recently we developed artificial intelligence really using our backtesting tool, and I can show you that as well if you guys would like to see it. But that backtesting tool is what's used to create the strategies that deliver you the ideas from the artificial intelligence engine. And we have 3 different segments running on our premium subscription. And those segments, those artificial ideas, intelligent ideas, are delivering you, these real trade ideas with an entry signal, a managed stop, a profit target, a time horizon for that trade. And so this is something that is really kind of the pinnacle of our development. But the latest release of our software over the next quarter is going to have automation of that AI inside of our Brokerage Plus tool, and I'll show you that too, because I know that there were some questions that revolved around the Brokerage Plus. All right, here. So I know there was we have this channel bar over here on the left, and the channel bar was something that we created that allows the user to get started right away. So this can be a pretty complex tool. I won't kid you. In order to create a strategy, it's not an easy thing. In order to operate in the stock market and be profitable, it's not an easy thing. But these are the tools that you need in order to be effective. As an example, if you right-click on any of our windows here, you can bring up a configuration, and you can modify any of the windows that we've created in any of these various channels. And these channels are all different themes. Maybe something is looking for stocks that are trading in the pre-market. Other channels are looking for stocks that may be trading in the post-market, or stocks that may have earnings coming up the following week. So that's how we segment it through these different channels. But all of these windows inside of the channels are really at your disposal to do anything that you want with. If you only trade stocks between $10 and $20, you can take any of those windows, right-click in it, go right into the filter segment, go into your price, and say you only want to trade stocks between $10 and $20. It's really that easy if you know what to do. I think getting to know what to do and getting to know what's available to you is probably the more comprehensive endeavor that you would have to undergo. But like anything, you're not going to learn it overnight. But with these channels, you can really just hit the ground running. This pre-market channel, this is where you could take a look and see exactly what's gapping up and gapping down in the morning. This is something you could look at in the pre-market, to see what that is, gapping up or down. But you can also look at it in the post-market and see how did these up gappers, how did that affect the end result of that day? How did the down gappers? And you can create a symbol list off of that. A couple different ways to create symbol lists. So we can mine the entire group of stocks that are out there, the whole universe of stocks. But we can also mine just a portfolio of stocks, and you can build that symbol list. Or you can really quickly, if you see something that you like, you can just go ahead and select it right into the chart and heart it. When you go ahead and select that My Like, the heart, it's going to be available in the My Like channel. It's also available in the My Like symbol list, so you can use that and manipulate that any way that you'd like. Go right into that particular channel, and now you have access to a variety of different symbols that you've been interested in. And like I said, there are a lot of different ways to do things in trade ideas that kind of accomplish a similar result. Like for instance, you could go ahead and put that into your watch list, inside of your My Like symbols, but you could also set up a price alert. And the price alert is really kind of a price threshold that gets broken, but it allows you to keep top of mind any of the symbols that may be moving, or something that you may be interested. As soon as it crosses a threshold, it'll bring it right to your top of mind, and you can go ahead and click on the price alert that comes up, and then make a decision whether you want to trade that. So if I wanted to create that price alert, I can just right-click in there. It'll put the price in there, or I could adjust it, and then I can save it. If I wanted to put a note in there, I could do that. But I'm more someone that when I see an alert come up, I like to click on it, and then make that judgment decision right then and there. But certainly you can put notes in there as well. So that's a price alert. As soon as this symbol, the stock price crosses that threshold, it's going to generate an alert for me. And that's available in both our premium and our standard. So while lead, I don't have any plans of adding EMAs as filters at this point, but you can add any of the different indicators on the chart. And so we do accommodate EMA. I think in this particular case, you see the orange line is the 13-period EMA, whereas the blue line is the 50. It's a slippery slope when it comes to that, and everybody wants a different period, and it's just a lot of different filters, and that does affect the way that the software operates because it is server-based software and delivering all of this information to the thousands of different users that are all requesting different strategies and filter sets. So earnings, let's pop on over to the earnings channel, and I haven't been over here in a little bit, but in addition to keeping track of not only fundamental but market data information as well as creating new data ourselves, we're also tracking earnings, and we keep track of that in a numerical way. It's a numerical way so that you can filter upon that. So if a value, let's say, is 0.25, that means it had earnings this morning, and you can, click on that and see if there was anything, that happened as a result of that. Probably you'd want to be a little more timely, looking into something like this. And then, of course, if you want to zoom in or zoom out, you can just do that by holding the control key and using your mouse wheel to get a better view on the chart for what's going on. So, you have the visual aspect of what the earnings are here, but if you want to incorporate that into one of your strategies, maybe looking for something that has gapped up with earnings today with a certain type of volume threshold, these are the types of things that you can incorporate into a strategy. And ultimately, if you create a strategy, and a lot of people use our backtesting tool to really refine and optimize their ideas, but then you have the ability to automate that as well. So while anything here can really be manually executed, if you have, you don't have to have interactive brokers to have this linked with your brokerage platform. It links with about 90% of the brokerage platforms out there. We do that through the external linking. So up here we've got external linking. You can click on a symbol. It'll update the third party's charts. It'll update their order entry panel. They have a news product that'll update that, and you can get that information. So you're really just a click away. But if you do have Brokerage Plus and you're synced up with interactive brokers, you can just go ahead and right click and send that order based upon your pre-defined instructions. And I will set that up. I'll show you how to set up Brokerage Plus specifically for an automated strategy and also to really refine your orders. So if you see Starbucks here and you click on it and it looks good, you can right click, and you can do it anywhere. You can do it here in the chart to send that order, or you can do it here in the top list window to send that order. So, we don't want to, it's not necessarily trying to push every one of these ideas here as something that you want to trade, but you do want to make it really nice and easy to just be a click or two away from being able to get that trade out into the marketplace. But where Brokerage Plus really does come in handy is that when you do put that trade out there, so for instance, if I'm right-clicking here and I'm going to trade Starbucks and I'm going to go ahead and buy this, say $1,000 worth of Starbucks here at the market, this strategy or this order type that I've created is really inclusive of some parameters that make it really nice to be able to manage that position. So it can already have the type of stop loss that I want to incorporate. And I'll show you how we set that up and some different types of stop losses that you can create. And then using our custom formula editor, you can really create your own type of stop loss as well. And so you can get super sophisticated, or you can just, like I said, use it right out of the box the way that we have it. So I will get right back to this. It's a little bit premature to dive into it. Let me pull up some of the Holly AI. And let's go right into just one of the channels here. On the channel bar, we do superimpose some data that makes it informative for you. So not only can you tell exactly how that particular segment is doing, is it up for the day, is it down for the day, how profitable is it, how many trades have occurred, and did a trade just occur, because this would flash if a trade just occurred and letting me know that I could go ahead and click on that particular channel and get some more information on what that new trade may have been. So this right here is very specific. I have the development version, so I have a few more columns that are visible here, but this right here is the Holy Grail channel, and we've created 3 different segments using our AI technology. At the end of every day, it's going to take, each one of the segments has about 50 different strategies in it. And at the end of every day, it's going to go through those strategies and it's going to optimize them, and it's going to use the odds maker technology to really refine the strategies, figure out what filters it should use or could use to make the strategy perform better. Let me just do something really quick, because I have a couple windows that are prepared. So I just clicked on a custom channel, and you guys could add your own channels here as well. Out of the box channels are below, but if you want to create your own custom channels, you can do that right here up at the top. I have a couple windows here. In fact, today, so this right here happens to be kind of a custom layout that I put together that has all 3 of our segments visible. It's kind of similar to the Omni AI channel, but kind of custom with the columns that I have and the charts that I have on this window. But I have a couple of other windows right here. And let me just, I think this does a good illustration of how the AI works, and it's probably the best way I could explain it. So in the Holy Grail strategy, in the Holy Grail segment right here, there were 5 different strategies that made the cut. They made the cut because they had a certain certain statistics after the optimization process that justified them being available today as available strategies. One of those strategies is bond shorty. Now, bond shorty, each one of these has a base strategy that's kind of a, how do I explain it? It's a concept strategy. It's a nice strategy, but it's not perfected yet, and it's not using the most recent day's data to come up with the best way to look at that particular strategy. So this is the base strategy. It hasn't completed the optimization process yet. I'm going to go ahead and run it through the odds maker so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Now, this is a short strategy, so I'm going to simulate the sell. What it's going to do is it's going to go back 30 trading days and hypothesize if it short sold every single instance of an alert in this particular window, how would it have performed? And it's going to give us some metrics that we can look at, and we can say, you know, well, for one, there were 2,900 trades, so many trades that you can never do it. But remember, this is a concept. This is something that's a multi-day down move that's in a continuation process. It's looking like it's using the crossing below support as the trigger for that particular strategy. And then it's got some filters on here that make that up. Well, once it runs through, and I'll kind of scoot this to the side here, but once it runs through the optimization process at the end of the day, well, before I do that, we have this little optimization tab, and the optimization tab gives you a little bit of insight into what it's doing. If you go into the filters here, you can see a bunch of the different, these are all the filters that are inside of trade ideas, and you could click on one and you can kind of take a look at the breakdown as to, you know, if the 120-minute range was $6, how did that do? And so it's kind of an outlier, but what if I made this 0.25? You can really start looking at the data and start getting very granular. And maybe if the 120-minute range is over $3, this isn't such a good strategy. Well, it's doing that to every single filter. It's taking that type of analysis. So let's, like I said, let's move this out of the side here. And let's take a look at what the optimized strategy looks like. This is coming out of the AI. And again, this is stuff that you can do yourself. You can put these filters on. You can run the test. But let's go ahead and back test it. This is the opportunity here. So we're not trading half hour. We're not trading the last 2 hours. We're not initiating a position anyway. We're going to go ahead and hold it for 60 minutes. And we're going to put in a stop loss of 3%. We're not going to put a profit target in. And we're testing the 61 trading days. So that's a full quarter. And let's go ahead and simulate the sell. So now there are a few more filters that it's added to it. It's added, I think, 3 additional min filters and 2 additional max filters. but super powerful, because just doing those, just changing those particular variables results in a strategy that becomes super tradable, something that when you look at the metrics here, it's tradable from a perspective of the total number of trades that it has, and how many of those trades were winners on a win percentage, the profit factor, which is the sum total of winning trades over losing trades, what's your average winner to loser. These are all the type of metrics that are important in determining a viable strategy, and that's what the AI is doing every single day. Like right now, the market's closed, but it's working. It's doing what we could not do as humans. It's just running through the number of calculations that are insane to come up with this, and it's doing that through the 50 different strategies, and we've got that iteration running 3 different times. So giving a great number of opportunities throughout the day, and it's just using statistics as its backbone. So that's kind of what the AI is doing, and now we're bringing that automation, or that AI, right into the automated tool, into Brokerage Plus. So let's see what we can do here. Let's bring in Brokerage Plus. So yeah, like, I mean, well, before I do that, like the high of day scanner, I mean, so I've got so many different ways to look at that. You can look at, Johnny, you can look at the high of day and a top list, you know, what stocks are doing the best today. So like, for instance, if I go to my price up movement channel here, I can look at this biggest gainer window, and look, these are, like I said, these are all free floating windows, and you can size them however you want. You can sort them however you want. You know, all of these columns are sortable. So now you can take a look. These are the stocks here that are gaining the most. But if you want to look at something like a new high window, something that happens to be, you know, making new highs, I probably have it over here in the strategies. So I've got different new high windows, but you could also go right up into the toolbar up here, go to an alert window, and create a new high from scratch. I mean, there's really nothing easier to do than that. You can just start from scratch, go right over to the alert window. Ooh, let me double click that. Start from scratch. Okay, so now I've erased everything. I can just go over here and I can go new highs. But now it's like a fire hose. For post-market, you know, I probably want to go, you know, bring in some post-market highs too. And so we'll add that alert. So now during the market, I'll be looking for new highs. Post-market, I'm looking for post-market highs. But then I should add some filters. Most people add a price filter. You know, maybe you want the maximum to be 10, but anything up to 10. For these particular new highs, I also want it to be at least up 2% for the day. So you can add your filters if you want to put in an average volume, like add your defaults, and there's probably there's an average daily volume. Maybe you want to look at something that's at least 1,000 shares, and once you've built that, you've got your new high window. You can add in any of the different columns that you want. We've got so many, you know, every filter that we have can be added as a column. So that, and then if you want to run a history to see is this the type of window that you want, you can just right click, run a history, and see exactly what it triggered if you hadn't been looking at that window, or if you had been sitting there during that time period. And you can dial in a time period, or just let it go back for the last 1,000 events. It'll do that. Yeah, so that's something that you can do as well. 10% web version that you can't do, you can't use Brokerage Plus. We have incorporated, you know, here's the web version right here. So we have incorporated the AI to it. We brought the AI to the channel bar. You can drill right into any one of the channels. You can size this appropriately. You can pop windows out. I mean, it's a really super cool piece of tech. If you wanted to grab any one of these windows, you could just pop it out. And now you've got a free floating window, you know, that's on top of this channel window. And you can build your own layouts with this, but you don't have access to Brokerage Plus, the ability to automate, and you don't have access to the price alerts at this time. So we have been doing a lot of great work on the chart, really bringing it into parity, adding in the liked, and really bringing in all of the annotations over to it as well. So we're bringing it up to it, and we do envision a time when it is in total parity, but it's a little short at this point. All right, so I think there's, so before I bring in Brokerage Plus, let's just go back So this one window, we'll talk a little bit about the AI today, some of the ideas that it generated today. And it wasn't an easy market today. You know, it's the successful trades today were these short trades, and you really do have to be nimble when you're looking at the market and how to. And that's exactly what the AI does. It's really impartial. It's not looking to go long. It's not looking to go short. It has these strategies that are waiting for all the filtered criteria and then the trigger event to occur. And when that happens, it doesn't know what symbols it's going to be sending to us. But it's looking to this back testing algorithms that determine based on profit factor and historical win percentage and such. So if we come here, we see I covered up this this here because we didn't have any trades on the Neo channel today, on the Neo segment. So I just put a couple charts that allow us to kind of look and see what triggered here today. And so we've got an intraday chart and we've got our daily chart. This was the big winner here on the Holly 2.0 segment. It was issued from the strategy strong stock pulling back. So you can get an idea of what was happening. You were getting into this position as this stock was pulling back. And you know, today this stock just continued to move up, even through the post market. So that was a nice trade. It was a 3% mover if you were to hold it through the end of the day. And we do give a couple different ways to look at it. Like I showed you, when you're creating a strategy, you determine a time frame. You know, you're going to exit out of this trade after 60 minutes, and after 60 minutes, what's the back test result of that? Is it a winner? Is it a loser? And so we keep track of that, and that's kept track under the risk off ID right here, and keeping track of holding a position to the end of the day really falls within the risk on. And so you can see which one was more profitable holding it to the end of the day. And all of these positions, both long and short, well, it's in an entirety. It was better to hold them all in bulk to the end of the day. And so you can see here on the risk on profit for all of these. Let's go to DLTH. Let's bring that up. And you can see here the annotations that we superimpose on the chart. You can see where the signal was generated. That's this 1990 AI. That's that blue line right here. And then you can see the blue arrow pointing to the candle. And then as you zoom in, and so that's right there. That's when the signal occurred. And it didn't do much for a little bit, you know, until about 12 o'clock, an hour before the close. That's when it really started to take off. And the market did kind of put in a base and create a little bit of an up move there. But it was, you know, overall, it was a rather jiggy day in the marketplace. So then we have a bond shorty, right? And so if we look at the bond shorty, let's zoom out. You can see when it's signaled. And, you know, you can trade this. You don't have to. It's not black and white. You don't have to hold it 60 minutes or hold it to the end of the day. This is a position that statistically is telling you that this isn't very statistically beneficial short. And I can't see I have this. Let me move this over here. That way I can look at my daily, and there's some multi-day filters that are in this. So it's not just looking towards today. I know for a fact, you know, in this particular strategy, it's looking for weakness today. It's looking for market filters, but it's also looking, how did it do yesterday and how did it do the day before that? So some weight in the particular longer term chart is applied into the bond shorty strategy. So not much happened in this particular trade. So if we come up here to Holy Grail, which was the first iteration of the AI, we had another bond shorty, and you can see as another multi-day down move, finding the opportunity right here. That was a pretty good call. Another bond shorty. That was a good strategy today, and it seemed to pay off pretty well. So now let's go ahead and pop in Brokerage Plus. So Brokerage Plus, this right here is a tool that allows you to do a couple things as it pertains to execution. It allows you to take a strategy and automate it. So you can build that strategy and trade ideas, put all the filters, alert, the stop, put all of that into it, and then drop it here into this window. And so let me do that. Let me go ahead and I'll delete this here. And let me do it from scratch so you can see how we do it. So just right click in here, and we're going to go ahead and load from cloud. So I have it in my cloud. This is by the Unusual down move, right? So it's in my cloud. I saved it there before. It's an alert window, right? So it's got a trigger event and it's got a bunch of filters. Let's go ahead and load that. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the existing. So these four up at the top are my orders, right? So when I right click and go into this trade, that's not showing up here. When I right click and go into this trade, these options right here are indicative of these little settings that I've created right here. So I'll show you how to manage that as well. So I'm dropping in this strategy that I've created inside of, in fact, let's do this here so you can really get the full picture. I'm going to load it from my cloud. All right, so this is an alert window. It's an alert window that I created in probably about 5 years ago. So it's super low volume type of move. I would never want to do it unless it was being automated because you just can't get those types of prices. But let me show you what it's doing here. So let's go ahead and go into configure. It just has one alert, and that's a standard deviation breakdown. It's just a statistical algorithm that we have here with a bunch of different filters. And all it's telling you is when this stock moves down, when this price moves down dramatically out of the norm, I want to buy it because I believe that there's going to be a rebound. I believe it's going to bounce back. So that's what this strategy is on stocks between $14 and $86. It can't be down more than 8% from the close. Bunch of other filters. All right, so let's run the back test. I'm going to start this. I'm not trading the first 5 minutes of the day. I'm not trading the last hour of the day as far as initiating a new position. So let's go ahead and simulate the buy. This is one of the rarities. This is a strategy that seems to have never really degraded. It's always been, you know, statistically really viable, although very hard to trade because it's so thin. So you have to be very quick to be able to get those trades. So we have a couple other things that I didn't go over here on this odds maker view. You can incorporate your commission in here. So maybe it's going to cost me, you know, $3 per trade, 2 cents a share. Or either way, I mean, this is such a great strategy here. If I'm trading every signal that comes through here and I'm going to apply $5,000 to it, if I started off with 50,000, I'm going to end up with 118,000. That's after commission and after slippage, or commission with commission per share. So it's a really interesting strategy. If I take that and I just drop it in right here, now I can go ahead and right click and edit the trading instructions. This is where I'm going to give it some information. You know, how do I want to trade it? First of all, I have some options here where I can tell the system, do I want to send more than, if there was, send orders for a symbol at most once per day for this strategy. So a lot of times you can have a symbol appearing multiple times, and you can really refine that information right here. If you only want to put a maximum of 10 orders, you can do that, or sending the orders, filling, you can get specific here. How do you want to size this thing? Do you want to size it, say $5,000 per? Do you want to do a fixed share, say 100 shares per symbol or per instance of a signal, or do you want to base it off of the stop loss? And that stop loss, in this case, it's 50 cents that we have. Based on a stop loss, let's say I only want to lose at most $50. It'll go ahead and size me appropriately so that if this particular trade gets stopped out, it's going to be a $50 loser. So a couple different ways you can configure that. The ability to get in, right? You can send a market order, a limit order. The limit delta is interesting because if you want to say, instead of doing a market order and potentially getting filled 10 cents or 15 cents above the initial entry idea, you can do a limit delta. Let's say I only want to pay maximum of 5 cents more than that price. So now it'll give you a limit price plus or minus a delta here. And that works the same for a long position or a short position. This is where you can define your stop loss. The stop loss I had set at 50 cents, but you could also do some other things. We have a filter in here called the Smart Stop. You could use that. The Smart Stop's an algorithm. It looks at the stock's relative volume It looks at the stock's range for the day. There's one other metric, the volatility. And so it looks at those three different factors and comes up with a suggested stop for that. You know, if a stock is trading a lot more volume than normal, then chances are the stop will be a little bit bigger than normal. So it takes those factors into consideration. Put a profit target on there, trailing stop, which honestly, it's been incorporated in recently, but I haven't used it, so I'm not an expert in that yet. I do need to spend a little bit of time with the trailing stop. This is where you can put in your time horizon. You can say, you can put in a 60-minute stop, 60-minute exit right here, but you can always manage that once you've opened up a position. So from the position tab right here, if you have a position on here, it's going to tell you how long until that time stop, and if that position's doing well, you can adjust that time stop if you want to stay in it longer, just by right-clicking, and it gives you some really cool, sophisticated ways to adjust those stops. So the latest advent to Brokerage Plus that we're incorporating in is the Holly AI tab, and that's taking all of the AI signals and bringing them into Brokerage Plus and allowing you to automatically send those orders to the market based on your instructions for that. So just like the odds maker, just like configuring a new strategy inside of the strategies tab, here you can edit your long instructions and how do you want to, what kind of dollar value do you want to apply, or share quantity do you want to apply to a new order, and what type of entry order do you want to use. So it's pretty simple from that regard, and once you configure that, both the long side and the short side, you can turn on all the strategies or some of the strategies. And the thing that I've just got today, and this latest version, I haven't started testing it yet, but that's the re-enter. And the re-enter we're applying initially to trades that have been stopped out. So you have the opportunity, if you want, to configure this so that if you want to re-enter in, if a particular algorithm occurs. In this case, I think we're going to go to market. The very first algorithm is if it hits your stop price and then it reapproaches the initial AI signal, upon the reapproach, it will enter you in and it'll place the stop just below the previous one. So you'll get in at a little bit of a better price and the stop will be a little lower. But that's something that eventually will be configurable. We'll have multiple ways of addressing that. But just some really fun stuff, because we've been doing the AI for a couple of years and it's exceeded all of our expectations. We knew we were onto something when we created it, but we didn't think that it would really be performing as well as it has for as the thing. And I've got some reports that have been run already, because I get it asked all the time, how does the AI perform, compared to the marketplace, and do I have statistical data? And I have data going back from day one, but I did run just a couple of reports, and they all look, rather similar from the trend line of the AI performance. Through time, it really is a very consistent performer. This is looking at from July 1st of last year through today, and it's benchmarking against the spiders. And so, you can see that it was running in parity for a while here until about October of last year. And then it just, the spiders started becoming a little bit jiggy and they're down. The AI is looking both long and short and really hasn't been impacted by the down moves in a way that you would expect it to. And so this was just a risk off run. So that's getting out at the end of the time stop, if it's 60 minutes or 45 minutes, or, there are some strategies that'll exit out an hour before the trading day. So it's something that, would be held a little bit longer, but that would all fall within the risk off. This next report right here, taking the same time frame, but looking at it from a risk on perspective. So from a point disparity perspective, we're here at about 81 points on the AI. The market was down 23. If we go back here, this was in the risk off mode, it was 58. So, if you're holding these through the end of the day, if you have, statistically, it's shown that it's been better to do so. And then I ran another report here. This is looking at all of the segments in risk off from the same time frame, and you can pick any time frame, but this is dropping in at 193, so it's really consistent amongst all the segments. Aren't a lot of outliers when it comes to this particular type of data. And then this is the same report that's run in risk on, so holding everything to the end of the day. So just, these are great, interesting ideas that the AI is generating. It finds footprints of unusual behavior and it's delivering that. The timing's not perfect, just because it generates an idea, things don't necessarily happen right then and there, but more often than not, something is happening with that stock. And whether it's using your price alerts or getting into it through Brokerage Plus and using some of the cool tech that we have inside of Brokerage Plus that allows you to double positions. Let me see if I can find that real quick. It's right here. So if you go to your positions, so if you just highlight a couple of positions through control clicking, you could double and you could load up on something. If your something's not working out, you can just select half. You can use our limit out feature. So a lot of nice ways. And this graph right here works in very much the same way that the AI graph works, where it's keeping track of your portfolio throughout the day. So you can see, are you trending well? Not just am I down or am I up a certain dollar amount, but how did I get there? Did I arrive at that place? All right, let me see if, let me get some questions here because I kind of went rambling. I'm sure I didn't hit a lot of different things. But yeah, let me show you this limit out. The limit out is a way to grab a variety of multiple positions, either using the control select or the shift select, and then selecting the limit out. And this will send a limit order or a limit delta order on all of those positions, giving you the ability not to necessarily bail out of something, but try to ease yourself out of that position. If, of course, you don't get hit on any of those limits and you still want to get out, you could just then keep those out there, those limits out there, select the positions that you want to get out of and hit flatten. It'll automatically cancel these other orders that are out there that would get affected by that market order that you'd be sending, and it would just go ahead and do that. So it's nice to be able to use the rapid order entries buttons with that. It makes it nice, and then have the visual. Yeah, and so Waleed, one of the things that we've incorporated onto the chart from Brokerage Plus is the orders. So if you put your limit order out there, that's going to appear on the chart. You have the ability to move that order. Your stops will appear automatically. You can move those stops, and you can do it visually from the chart, or you can right-click on the position and adjust it through a variety of pre-configured ideas that we have for each position as well. So again, multiple ways to do it, but using the chart GUI is kind of a nice way, and it really does give you that visual representation of where the support and resistance may be. All right, let's see here. Yeah, so Ken, I'll go ahead and share that. It's this is the unusual down move, and this strategy right here. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and, even though I have it in my cloud, let me show you what you can do with our cloud feature, because it allows you to take one window or multiple windows or a layout and save them to your cloud, kind of like your filing cabinet in the sky that you can then retrieve your strategies from. So it doesn't matter whether you're on the application or the web, you're going to go ahead and share the same cloud. It doesn't matter what computer you're on, because it's all server based. So I can, first of all, let me go ahead and just save this right here. It's by the unusual down move. I'm going to save and share. Now I'm going to copy this link right here. That link, and I'll paste it right here in the chat. All right, so in order to take that, you're going to want to grab and copy that URL right there, that link that starts with HTTPS, and you're going to want to go to your cloud, and you're going to want to paste it right in here, and then hit load. Once you do that, you'll have that window. It'll appear on your desktop, but then you'll want to save it to your cloud. Remember, this was in my cloud, so go ahead and right click on it then, save it to your cloud, name it something, and there you go. Remember, this is a low volume strategy. This is something like if you look at what triggered today, it isn't, there's no golden goose out there. There's risk involved with doing something like that. But let's move this out of the way and see what happened. I mean, I don't know, could you have gotten that? How much would you have chased it? This thing here, 53.43. I question whether you could get it. I question how much was there, but it was an actual trade. It actually, printed. Maybe it got broken later in the day. So let's take a look. So there were a couple that happened at that time. So this is a little bit more of a legitimate one right here. There's one that's super indicative of low volume. Wouldn't want to be trading that myself. And that was probably real. So, just be mindful of it, but it does take it and show you and illustrate how, what a mean reversion type of strategy is doing, is looking for something that's moved out of the norm by such an exaggerated amount that counterintuitively buy it, and it'll get back to the mean relatively quickly, and that's the theory behind it. So one of the things, this is a long strategy right here, right? So this is not a short, but John was mentioning the flip, and there's some great stuff. I don't know that this would work with the flip, but take a look at what we've got going here. This was a standard deviation breakdown, right? It has all these filters in it, but we also have this little button here called the flip, and it really takes everything, every filter that's appropriate to flip. Like price, you wouldn't flip the price, but you wouldn't flip your volume, but you would flip the range. You would flip some stuff, not ranges either. Like if it was up, then it's down. Those are the types of things that you would flip. So it'll flip the appropriate filters. It'll flip the alert, and let's just see what we have. So now this is going to be an unusual up move, and we're going to theoretically short it. Now, I have no idea what's going to happen here, but let's see. And that's the beauty of the odds maker, is that you can take an idea, a concept, and try it. And I mean, I can't tell you the number of strategies that I've created and thrown away, mid strategy, halfway into it, spending an hour with it, and I throw it away. It's just how it works, right? But so this right here is a sell. And let's see what happens. Statistically, I mean, again, I have no idea what's going to happen, but statistically, I would think things would inevitably revert back to their mean. A bullish trade is a different animal than a bearish trade. That is true. There's different emotions to both of those types of trades, but the net result probably is the same. So let's see. So yeah, and then with respect to the Mac version, Johnny, I was talking about the web, but we do have, I think, crossover is something that works. Certainly it works through parallels in VMware. Using a Windows emulation, it works as long as you have the horsepower on your Mac to drive that. That works really nicely as well. So yeah, this that's what you get out of a flipped, right? So this is a very interesting type of thing. And, here's the thing. You can go through it and you can put in volume filters and you can do some tweaking and you can massage this type of strategy into something that's not so low volume. Maybe something that's not going to give you 1,052 trades. That's a lot, right? So there's a lot of room in here to add some filters that pertain to that. So it's interesting. Guys, if I did not get to your question, please fire it again. I kind of looked through here and it looks like I did. Thanks, Barry. So I guess crossovers doesn't work, but the VMware and parallels, those do. And I know crossovers, they had kind of a neat thing going where you didn't need to have Windows But I just don't think it's been perfected yet, or at least it's not with our software. So the max profit, let me address that here inside of the AI window. So in the AI window here, if I right click and go to columns and I find the max profit, and I could even bring in the max profit time. Max profit, and I'm going to bring it right on over to the risk on profit. So you get an idea, actually, I'm going to take you to the risk off profit here. You get an idea here exactly how this risk off trade, where it closed in relationship to its maximum profit. So this guy right here continued to trade up. This guy here closed its max profit. It's on its high. I mean, that was right there on risk off, was on its high. So it just gives you some additional data points. And if you were to bring in the max profit time, it'll let you know exactly what time that was. There's also another column that lets you know how many minutes ago that was. So a lot of different ways and a lot of different data points that you can bring in and incorporate for yourself. So Dan, with respect to your short strategy and the stop, I would need to know what you're using for your stop. Let's pull that in here. So that's a long. Let's just turn this into a short and just kind of see what we're doing here. So I'm going to have to test it. Obviously, I can't do it right here, but let me shoot me an email, Dan. So it's brad@trade-ideas.com, and I'll take a look. And if there's something that we need to do, I don't know, because this should be an absolute value right here, and that should be working appropriately. So if you put in 25 cents, and this is a short strategy, it's going to be putting at 25 cents above the entry price. But I need to know how yours is configured and what you're using for that value. So now the AI is not included in the standard plan. It's included in the premium plan. So while lead auto trading for Holly, I'm hopeful in the next 2 weeks that we'll have this released. There's still so much that we want to do, so many additional options we want to put in, but one of the real caveats was being able to incorporate this re-entry into it. So I'll be testing that tomorrow and the next day, and if that all goes well, then we'll just be knocking off some of the other features in order to hit that time mark. So we're pretty close, and it's working really well. So Dan, I will, shoot me that email. I'll look at that tomorrow. You're just using the smart stop, and that is an absolute value. So I wouldn't expect that to be a problem, but let's make sure you're on the right version, and let's make sure that there's not a bug in there that's causing that. So Price is asking, in Brokerage Plus, can we add the ability to link by computer name or IP address running on another computer? Yeah, not yet. That's at some point, we really hope that we're not going to need to have the thick client of Trader Workstation running. And there are ways to do it through the gateway, but ultimately we want to make sure that you don't have to be tied to your computer, and ultimately we'd like to have this info in the cloud. But that's kind of the direction that we're going. Right now, there's not an ability to do that, Price. All right, guys, let me pop in. If there are any other questions, fire them away, but it looks like we're caught up. I'll bring back the presentation. And before I do one thing, just to know that the formula editor is here. If you go into the support tab, go into the custom formula editor, this is where you can create, and we have a spot for 100 different filters that you can create off of all of the filters that we have. And so we've got a little document. It's super easy. You don't need to know programming or anything. You just need to kind of know math and how you want to manipulate things. It does get sophisticated if you want, like you can do if-then statements and things like that, but it does allow you to kind of open up our data and do some other interesting things with it. None of it's necessary, but for the gearheads out there that really find it fascinating to do this kind of stuff, it's available to you. So let's go back here. Let's start knocking out some of these slides. Guys, we do have a promo code today. Scott, I hope it's still Holly Plus. It'll get you 15% off the first month or the first year, whatever you decide that you want to sign up for. These are the two different products that we have, the standard and the premium. The standard really has a whole host of features. It just does not include the odds maker. It does give you a chance to test the odds maker, but it doesn't include the odds maker or the artificial intelligence. So that's all part of the premium functionality. In both products, you can do the price alerts along with the alert windows, the top list, multi-strategy windows, the charts, and all that good stuff. Every day, my good friend Barry is hosting a trading room. It's our free trading room where a variety of great traders kind of come together. I think we had about 500 in there today, where they're all sharing ideas. Just a great place to see how our technology is used in real time. People use it in a variety of different ways, but Barry's sharing his screen and kind of talking you through it. So I highly recommend that everybody check it out. You can get there right from our homepage. It's up on the top, trading room. So check it out. Coming up February 4th, we're having our quarterly test drive. Every quarter, we allow our customers and non-customers alike to test drive. So if you're a customer and you don't have premium, you can go ahead and test drive all the functionality. If you want to see what we have at Trade Ideas and the presentation, the webinars just aren't enough for you, then you can go ahead and test drive it. And it's something that we do, like I said, every quarter. We don't allow people to just do, you know, freebies off of us. So we kind of reserve it for a point where we have the support resources to help people use the software, because, you know, like I said, there's so much you can do with it, and a lot of people have questions, and this is just a good time where everybody gets together and we walk you through the software. We kind of put a little curriculum together, and we have a contest as well. So this is coming up on February 4th. It starts on that's a Monday. If you kind of straggle in, usually it works. If you were to sign up by Wednesday, you would get it for that full week to the following Wednesday. So I anticipate it'll be working the same way this time. Our CEO and our Director of Education get together every Friday, and they have a No Holds Bar podcast. It's kind of the non-corporate version of, well, not that you got the corporate version, but it's definitely the non-corporate version of anything that we do here. So these guys get together and they talk about kind of what we're focused on, what the market's doing, and they talk about it in a way that's really fun and entertaining. So check it out. You can't always buy the F and dip, right? So you have to learn how to trade the short side and approach the market in a variety of different ways. So check out our free book right here. It's an ebook, and you can get to it by going to trade-ideas.com/ebook. A lot of different ways. You got to be able to trade the downside too to really capitalize on the market. It's not always going to be going up, and you can't always just buy these dips, right? So sometimes you just got to invert yourself and get short. Different ways to get a hold of us: Twitter @TradeIdeas, @QuantBot, @TodayTrader. You can hit us up on Facebook. Call us, but we really do prefer email, info@trade-ideas.com. If you have something specific for me, brad@trade-ideas.com. Hope I didn't forget anything here, guys. But you can always shoot us an email, get a hold of us. Yeah, and so I'm done. I've kind of talked out. I usually have a partner. I'm usually the wingman. So anyway, Scott, what did I forget? Anything? Are you even here?
I think you got it. Good job. Yeah, we'll have a recording up later on tonight or tomorrow morning, so stay tuned for an update from GoToWebinar in your email tomorrow with a link to remind you how to find that recording. Any questions, shoot it to info@trade-ideas.com. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Barry.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Later on.
Thanks.